I live in a swamp. I put up signs. I'm a terrifying ogre. What do I have to do to get a little privacy?
Hi there, and welcome to Baseball by Design. I am SportsLogos.net minor league baseball correspondent Paul Caputo, broadcasting live, as always, from the Sunday Helmet Hall of Fame in my basement in Fort Collins, Colorado.
And I am Dan Simon, broadcasting live as usual from the Studio Simon Stumper headquarters, located in the former terminal building at Bowman Field in Louisville, Kentucky.
I have been to that building. I've been to your office. We brought the Baseball Palooza crew through there. We're getting close to Baseball Palooza, by the way, Dan. That's going to be fun. But it's a beautiful building. It's super interesting that you got a little tiny airfield right there. And it's a mile from where you live. You walk to work every single day. It's all such a charming scene. It makes me happy to think about.
Well, thank you for saying that. I think that's an accurate word to describe this place. It's a WPA era building. It's a beautiful building. I love the activity of the airport. It's an iconic building in the city of Louisville. And not only do we have this building and other wonderful things, we have a baseball team called the Bats. And a baseball team with bats in its name is the subject of today's episode.
We're going to be talking about the Keene Swamp Bats, they're a collegiate summer level team. They play in Keene, New Hampshire. Collegiate summer level ball, there's so many collegiate summer level leagues. It's easy for these brands to get sort of tucked away. And so it's been fun for me on this podcast to highlight some of the big brands, the AAA ones, but also to, sometimes to unearth a brand that isn't necessarily out there just in pop culture necessarily. And so there's a lot of really fun minor league baseball brands out there. And when I say minor league baseball, I'm talking about all levels of grassroots baseball, from the affiliated minors down to collegiate summer level. So this is a fun one to highlight and to get to learn a little bit about a corner of the world, Keene, New Hampshire, Ranger Amy's home state.
We were talking in a recent episode about minor league baseball and how much it's a part of our lives, but there's a lot of people out there who don't necessarily know about it. And when you include especially collegiate summer leagues, it's amazing how ubiquitous baseball is in the United States. There's very few places you can go where there's not, again, including collegiate summer league baseball in the minor league, under the minor league baseball umbrella, very, very few places you can go in the United States and there's not baseball at that level or above.
The other thing about baseball, Dan, is I feel like it's the only sport in North America anyway that you can see at as many levels as we can. The number of levels of baseball that you can see out there in the United States is pretty incredible, and Canada too, of course. We push that a little bit here in the Mountain Time Zone, Dan. It's we don't have a ton of it necessarily. But Dan, let's focus on more positive news than that. We're talking about the Swamp Bats. I don't think the Swamp Bats are a real thing, but we're going to have Ranger Amy here to talk about what a Swamp Bat might be. We're going to have designer Joe Tolman, who has never been on the podcast before, so it'll be fun to talk to him. And then, of course, with the team, we're going to have Kevin Watterson, who was kind enough to join and chat about the Swamp Bats. He's been with the team since its inception, so that'll be fun for us. So it's a fun episode we have ahead, Dan.
And I too will be part of that episode, this episode, in just a little bit when I come back from my Studio Simon Stumper. So I'll see you in a few.
Let's get to the interviews. Welcome to the podcast, Kevin Watterson, who is the president of the Keene Swamp Bats in Keene, New Hampshire, a team in the collegiate summer level New England Collegiate Baseball League. Kevin, good morning. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning to you, Paul, and the fans out there. Nice to be here.
Well, I'm super excited to talk about this team. This is a really fun brand. It's been around for a while. It's been around for almost 3 decades here, the Keene Swamp Bats. I want to start right from the beginning here. What is a swamp bat?
A swamp bat is a figure of who we are relative to where we play our games. And when we started this franchise 28 years ago, and it was strictly about baseball, we did one of those things I'm sure you'll see minor leaguers do. Hey, name the team. And so we threw a contest out and with some great prizes to the fan base. And we said, hey, we need to name this team. And a young woman, Lisa Perkins, came forward with Swamp Bats. Why Swamp Bats? Our field really is a beautiful field, and it almost has that sense of a field of dreams. But behind the field, and not so beautiful, is this rather ugly swamp, and we all ignore it coming and going. And so when the name came forward, Swamp, it harkened to that swamp behind us, and then you tag on bats, Swamp Bats. I can recall when we chose, and we probably had 1,500 to 2,000 submissions from our fan base to name the team. And there was a handful of us that chose. And at that time, minor league baseball was really going in the direction of names and logos that were outside the guardrails of the Browns and the Yankees and the Red Sox. And we really liked what we were seeing, and we said we need to follow that path with something different.
You've been with the team since its inception in 1997. At that time, like you say, it was a different era of branding for minor league baseball. And there were a few teams sort of dabbling in the funny nicknames. I mean, this was sort of the era of like the Carolina Mudcats and, a little bit before like the Lansing Lugnuts. But mostly it was more sort of serious, or teams were named for their parent clubs. That decision to go a little bit sort of funny with it rather than, more sort of serious, where did that come from?
There was a group of us, about three or four of us, and we took a chance. And I can tell you, initially, our fan base, I can't say it was overwhelmingly positively received, but we stuck with it. And 28 years later, the Swamp Bats, it's an iconic name in this community. And if I travel the country and I tell folks where I'm from, and not my connection, they'll say, "Oh, my son played for the Swamp Bats. Are you familiar with the Swamp Bats?" And over, that Swamp Bats tag has survived and really helped us.
There have been a few logos over the years for this team. The first one was the letter K for Keene, with a bat, the animal bat, holding a broken baseball bat in its feet, claws, and then a baseball in its mouth. And then more recently, a sort of a cartoon, a more sort of stylized cartoon bat character. The first bat is holding a broken bat in his claws, I guess. And then the next one looks more anthropomorphic, and he's got, like he's holding the baseball bat. When did that change happen, and what was the thinking behind that?
That change took place in 2019. It was a function of we were getting a little bit of feedback that our logo maybe was a little negative, that there was that it wasn't as positive, it wasn't as upbeat as it could be if you compared us to minor league logos. We need to be friendlier. And if you look at the new logo, it's far friendlier than our original. And that's exactly was our desire. I mean, we're community. We're baseball. We need to be friendly. We need to be fun. And I thought he nailed it.
So tell me about the town of Keene, New Hampshire. I love collegiate summer level towns. I live in Fort Collins, Colorado. We have the Fort Collins Foxes. There's something special about a town that has a collegiate summer level team. What is Keene, New Hampshire like?
So I would tell you first, my belief about summer collegiate franchises, townships, whatever, I believe they work in smaller communities. We're the community seat in a county of 60,000 people. We probably draw from a radius of 80,000, and that's it. If people talk about athletics in Keene, they'll always come back to you, well, oh, Keene's a baseball town. So that's why, and I'm always a little offended by that. That's why we're successful with Swamp Bats, because you're a baseball town. And I want to say, well, really, there's a lot more to it. but we are a baseball town. I mean, we held a Legion World Series one year, many years ago. We've sent many of our youth teams on to World Series, whether it's Babe Ruth, Legion, Ripken, you name it. So we do have a strong foundation of baseball.
Are there bats there? Are there actual and we're going to talk to our wildlife correspondent Ranger Amy here, who is from New Hampshire originally, so she'll know. But we can get more into bats with her. But are there caves and bats, or I don't know if they live in exclusively caves?
I'm going to tell you that to my knowledge, and I'm not an outdoors woodsman, I don't hunt, fish, whatever, but I'm not aware that we have a large or over large bat community. And it's a nice segue into the bat that's connected to swamp bats. Really, that bat relates to the bat in your hand. In my opinion, it never had anything to do with maybe a bat coming up out of the swamp or something. It was the swamp bats, and it related to the bat in your hand, and that led us also to our mascot.
Oh, tell me about your mascot. So this is the character, the sort of updated. Oh, well, I'm sorry. You're shaking your head. No. Who is your? Tell me about your mascot.
Over the years, it is truly amazing that our mascot, who and it goes by the name Ribby, Ribby,
Nice.
and you can play off that in so many ways. RBI, runs batted in, Ribby, whatever it is. It really worked for our team, and it's become the face of the Swamp Bats. If you talk to people who have been in this community, who have been involved in so many of the programs that we offer on a year-round basis, everybody knows Ribby. I mean, if Ribby shows up in an event, everybody's screaming Ribby. Now, if I showed up or one of our people showed up, no big deal. But when it's Ribby shows up, it's us.
So the Swamp Bats are, so far as I can remember, the first team that I have featured from the New England Collegiate League. What is this league? Where does it sort of fit in the landscape of the larger baseball world?
Baseball America, which is the Bible, as we know, does a rating, a study every year on summer collegiate baseball leagues. Amazingly, 28 years ago, when we got in this league, there were nine. We were the ninth league, the NECBL. Today, there are 80 leagues, summer collegiate leagues in the United States. We, in the last 3 years, have been ranked number two. Number two. And hey, who's number one? We know it's the Cape, just down the road, and we're number two. And they base it on pro talent, quality of facilities, how they treat their players, fan base, all of that. And the NECBL, and if you talk to college coaches around the country, I can remember when we first got in, I had to really sell who we were. Today, if I say I'm with the NECBL, instant recognition and clarity that they need to send their best players to us.
I can tell you the reach of the NECBL. I was in London 2 years ago for the London series between the Phillies and the Mets, and I saw a guy wearing a hat with a seagull logo on it. And I asked him, I said, "Hey, tell me about your hat. What's that logo that you're wearing?" And he says, "Oh," because it looked familiar to me, right? Like it was one that I felt like I had seen before. And I heard him. He wasn't speaking English. It turns out he was speaking Italian. He says he played softball in Italy, and this was the logo of his softball team. And so I took a picture of it, and I was just like, I'm going to sit with this for a little bit, and I'm sure you can tell where this is going. It was the Newport Gulls. It was a team from the NECBL. And so I didn't recognize it immediately because I wasn't as familiar with the league then, but that put it on my radar for sure. I know the Newport Gulls are sort of an iconic team in this league. 28 years for you all with the same nickname in the same league, largely the same color palette. Has there ever been discussion of potentially changing the name or doing alternate brands, anything like that?
In terms of the bigger picture, absolutely not. We believe in that Swamp Bats name. We from day one we were always about branding. And I mean, I was in the world of business, and this is a hobby for me. But I always understood, based on my history, Branding is everything. And what we've done today is to ensure that nothing negative ever touches the Swamp Bats. We are so, first of all, recognizing what it means to the community, the Swamp Bats. It's the same thing with the mascot, Ribby. I mean, it's so important. We believe in that brand. Hey, we do some different things. We go outside guardrails as it relates to wearables. We've come with a third jersey. We do different things. But when it comes to the Swamp Bats, that's who we are. And I would tell you an interesting thing. In the early days, we were about baseball. That's all it was. It was a bunch of guys getting together to try to put together a great team. And we did. We've put 40 guys into the big leagues, hundreds into minor league ball. But what we soon found out, if we were going to fill the park, we needed to be about community. And we spend 80% of our time today on community, 20% on baseball. I mean, we're in the school systems with reading programs. We had 2 reading nights last week. One night drew 3,000. The next night drew 3,500. And again, it's all about Ribby and reading.
Who are some of those players that you've put to the major leagues?
Probably the most famous was Andre Ethier. Great player. I could go on and on. The kid Amazaga was one of our first. Great player. To tell you the truth, it's so hard to remember all the guys now because we've had so many. But I will tell you, Andre's probably the most famous and very, very a friendly guy. Oh, I can remember when 2 weeks ago, this kid Dylan Moore was American League Player of the Week out of Seattle. And Dylan was a California kid, came to us 2 years. Nobody comes 2 years. And I remember at the time saying, hey, there's no way this guy's going to be in the big leagues. Everybody that comes to us wants to be in the big leagues. But here he is in his 7th year in the bigs, player of the week. I'm so proud of that kid.
That's super cool. That is, I like to hear that a lot. You talking about the community, you sort of led into a question I had, which is, if I go to a Keene Swamp Bats baseball game, what's the experience? What are the concessions I should get? Where do I sit? What are the unique features of the ballpark? What do I do at a Keene Swamp Bats game?
Hey, you come in, it's high energy the minute you get there. We're doing all this crazy things on the field. The food is concessions. We're 100% volunteer. I had a pro scout say to me one day, he said, I got everywhere around the country, and I got to tell you, the customer service from your people at the gates, the concessions, is second to none. And it's not like we're doing classes. That's the quality of human being that volunteer for us. We do a crazy on-field game. It's called a Batmobile. We run a Batmobile around the field. People buy tennis balls and they're throwing them into the car. They get them in. They make some money. We split it with them. It's so bizarre that nobody can forget it. It's all about kids. You'll see a fair amount of elderly in our stands. Hey, it's only $7 to get in. Senior citizens, I think, are $5. Military, first responders are free. Our focus is fill the park, not see how much money we can make.
All right, the last question I have is about the brand. As you know, I live in Colorado. We have the Colorado Rockies here. They're one of very few professional sports teams that uses purple in their brand. You all use purple. I saw that there's another purple team in the NECBL, the Sharks, the Martha's Vineyard Sharks.
Vineyard.
What?
Right.
How? The decision to use purple is not very common. I can see the connection to Swamp Bats, but why are you all purple? Why have you been purple the full 28 years?
Well, the first question I'll answer is any new team that comes into our league. I don't think we've had a new team in 4 or 5 years. Cannot duplicate a color. So how did the Sharks end up? Because they came over to us from another league, and that had been their logos, their colors, and we made an exception. We actually played them last week in Keene, and I've never seen so much purple and white on a field in my life. We should have worn our black away uniforms, but it got by me.
So your decision then to be purple, sort of, obviously there weren't that many choices left, I'm guessing, but how come the bats are purple?
We actually loved the black and purple mix And we were trying to do something different. You can't be the Red Sox. You couldn't be red and white back then. You can't be the Yankees. So we kind of played around with different combinations. And we loved purple and black. And we've stuck with it. We did come out with this year with a third uniform, weekends only, home only, with a gold and yellow top.
Well, Kevin, thanks so much for taking time out of your morning to talk about the Swamp Bats. Before I let you go, is there anything I should have asked you about that I did not?
Well, first of all, you talked about the Gulls, and we have a tremendous positive relationship with the Newport Gulls. They've won 7 championships. We've won 5. We're on an 8-game streak right now. We're trying to catch them, and they are one of the great franchises, I will tell you, in this country, and I'm proud to say that we're right there beside them.
It sounds like an NECBL road trip is in order here. I think that would be a ton of fun to go do a tour of teams in that league.
I think you'd have a ball. There are some great franchises, and we'll treat you like gold.
Fantastic. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. This has been a ton of fun. Where can people find the Swamp Bats? Maybe get one of these great hats. I see that you're wearing one right now. Where can folks find you online?
Hey, it's so simple. Just come to swampbats.com, and you'll see where you can make the purchase there, and we'll send it to you.
Super easy. I love it. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thank you. See you now.
All right, everyone, welcome back. I'm very pleased to have on the podcast on Baseball by Design, Joe Tolman, who is the owner of Bulldog Design, the creator of this Keene Swamp Bats logo. Joe, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Paul.
Well, I appreciate you hopping on to talk about this logo. I'm going to start at about 30,000 feet here. You've been involved with this team since the get-go. You've obviously been involved with some of their rebrands along the way. When they first came to you, what was the charge? What were the conversations?
Well, I was asked when they joined the league and were getting the team set up, I was invited to the creative process. So it was a meeting at one of the board members' house, and we were there to discuss a team name and then progress from there. So right from the beginning, I was involved with selecting the name. The premise of the name came from there's a little pond right behind Alumni Field, and there's a lot of bats flying around. So, I mean, that's really where the premise of it came, and trying to come up with some fun names, as so many, summer league and minor league teams have really fun, characters and names that they can create, a buzz around with mascots and merchandise and so forth. So I was involved in that from the beginning, and tasked with, once the name was selected, coming up with the logo. So, if we're talking about the original logo, we've kind of progressed to a new logo a few years ago, but the original logo, after coming up with the name, was, what I envisioned was a bat that interacted with the letter K. So it was, really developing, an interaction of, how I can make these two things work together. Did a bunch of designs, came up with some concepts with different style letterings, and then, obviously integrating the bat by itself. And my original way of thinking was kind of a superhero look. I basically like Batman, thinking about that Batman silhouette that's on his chest, or his the little things that he throws, that look like a bat. So that's where, the concept came, and developed it from there. So and then, it was messing around with colors and stuff like that too. We ended up with purple, but originally, I was messing around with more of blues and that kind of color, something that was nighttime based. And that's where that initial logo came from.
So this was at a time, this was back in 1997 that this initial logo was unveiled. So almost 30 years ago. This was at a time when minor league baseball was really finding its footing with sort of unique branding, fun, different names. Now, with the, benefit of hindsight, you look at this logo and it feels very much like of its era, right? Like this is sort of a 90s-ish brand, and it has since evolved, as you said, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But it was also a little bit out there for 1997. Like this brand was, we were pushing some envelopes with that first brand.
Yes, and that was the intention. Yeah, I mean, definitely, having fun with it and making it marketable. The discussion being in that initial meeting, how do you, stay afloat? This was a brand new venture. They had no idea, really what was going to be involved in. And Keene is a wonderful sports town. It's, in New Hampshire, it's kind of segregated from the rest of the state, with the bigger cities, Manchester, Nashua, Concord, Portsmouth being in the middle of the state and towards the coast. And there's a mountain range between Keene and all the rest of the state. So it's a very isolated place, almost more like Vermont than it is New Hampshire. So we've got our own identity over here, and it's a very close-knit community. So it's a wonderful place to create something like the Swamp Bats have done, a community-driven event or team that people stand behind and, get great players. Kevin is obviously a wonderful recruiter, comes from a long baseball history, baseball family, and he loves his team and he brings in great talent and the fans support it. So how do you keep the team going, with the merchandise, with the name, all that stuff. So that was that initial conversation was really, how do we make sure that it stays in business? The logo is part of that, the merchandise. And that's where I came in terms of helping to achieve that goal of being able to raise money with apparel sales and that kind of thing. And you also get players that when they see great logos, great team wear, they're also drawn to that. That was goal number one, to create that. And so we looked at, different minor league teams. I did, like researching, like the Fighting Squirrels and things like that, like teams that really had a lot of fun, had fun logos, and were able to create mascots and all the other things that go along with it.
There have obviously been updates to the brand, not the team name, but the brand. So far as I can tell, there have been updates in 2009, 2013, and then the current iteration of the brand was created in 2019. It's a little hard to track down all of these exact dates, but that's the history that I have. You've been working with the team throughout the years on all those updates?
Yes, yeah. All of the logo work is through me, and it's just something I do. I don't charge them for, so it's just something that I do to help out, being a local supporter of the team and sponsor of the team, that kind of thing. Just fun to be able to be a part of it. And so yeah, all of those different little iterations. There's really only two major ones, because the original logo did have the Swamp Bats lettering as well, which is supposed to look like mud.
Yeah. Oh.
The muddy lettering, so it's kind of dripping, to just go along with that kind of bog swamp kind of feeling, like the Swamp Thing, like the movie. From there, it's we've had little things just marketing wise, just apparel wise, but the only real major redesign is to 2019 with the new Ribby based character.
This is the one I wanted to chat with you about a little bit too, because it's the current brand and
Yes.
That update really felt like it brought, I said that original logo was of its era,
Right.
but this one now, the character, the fun character swinging the bat is something that feels very contemporary for this brand and is a really fun logo and feels also of its era, right? Like this is in that visual vernacular of minor league baseball. What was the thinking in this new character driven logo? This logo feels like it's driven by Ribby the mascot, and
Absolutely.
feels very contemporary. So what was the thinking in that update?
Yeah, exactly that. It was, Ribby has become his own thing, much like Wally, the green monster, which is very popular in New England. So it was just simply that, just trying to create a character that looked like Ribby and, and the bat swinging a bat, I mean, that was really it. I didn't, there wasn't a whole lot of, deep thought put into it. It was just trying to create that character. And then we came up with a kind of a new symbol with the bat that that we can use for secondary logos and things like that. So a lot of fun with the K, with the bat, and with the wings. That was part of that secondary part of the logo design. So basically I think there's 5 total logos, which always happens when I do team stuff. I don't even know if you know this, but I've done several of the other NECBL teams as well, the logo. So which came after the Swamp Bats.
I did not know that. Which teams have you worked on?
I did the Sanford Mainers, which is the moose wearing a hat,
Yeah.
the Vermont Mountaineers, and the Steeple Cats.
Okay. There are a lot of fun brands in this league, and this is the first team that I have featured on this podcast. So your email inbox may be lighting up again at some point when when I get these other teams on the horn.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you specifically about purple because
Yeah.
I live in Colorado. We have the Rockies here. You don't see a ton of purple in baseball. I mean, really sports at large, it's not the most, you normally see a lot of reds and blues and
Right.
perhaps greens. Purple is pretty low down on the list of colors that you see more commonly. And part of that, I think, is because purple is sort of difficult to work with sometimes, just
Can be.
as a designer, or can be, you say. What was, you were involved in those initial discussions. You went with purple, and purple has endured all these years later. Why was purple important, and has it been difficult to work with over the years?
So in terms of choice, like I said, when I originally did it, it was blue. So there you go. Probably maybe the most popular, if not red,
Right.
in baseball. But yeah, it was, based on Batman, completely, just the color scheme of Batman, the gray and blue. That was my original thought. But in doing that, I am a designer by trade, and so I got to give options. So I did, different color options, and that was part of that whole committee. And in looking at it, they, thought that purple was great. It has the feel, the nighttime feel. These games are mostly played at night. It's, the water, the bat, just kind of that nighttime feel. So the purple is what they thought would make them stand out, and it ended up working. Yeah. As far
Well,
as working with the color, it can be difficult. Yes. Just in apparel wise, because we do a lot of their apparel, like we do the uniforms and the apparel and things that they sell, retail stuff. So purple can be a difficult color to work with because it's not always available in a lot of things, and different tones of purple. And it's not just like choosing royal blue or navy blue or red. There's all kinds of different funky colors that end up coming in different lines of apparel. So that can be a challenge.
well, and I've always thought that purple was actually, and this is not my own original thought, right? Like this is Isaac Newton when he first came up with the color wheel. Purple was violet and indigo, right? Like there's a blue purple and there's a red purple, and they, are quite different from one another. So even just the word purple has all sorts of that's a super nerdy road to go down. We don't need to go go down that.
It
All
is
right,
the color of royalty, though. So,
that's right. That's true. That's true. But is it violet or indigo? We'll never know. So one of the things that's sort of interesting to me is that 5 years after the Swamp Bats, the Louisville Bats came along. So the Swamp Bats were first, and then the Louisville Bats were 2002. And they used purple as well. And they, when they talk about that old purple brand, they have since gone to red and blue. But, when they talk about that brand, they talked about Batman, right? Like they said the
yeah.
same thing. How hard is it to sort of avoid that, right? Like, I mean, I know that you're sort of inspired by it, but also you don't want to get too close. And I think the Bats actually may have gotten too close when it comes to the Batman identity. Was there any danger of sort of encroaching on that intellectual property, or was it something you thought about as you were designing?
I mean, I always, if there's ever any inspiration in what I do, I always keep it from the inspiration. There's pieces, there's elements, so that that original one, the overall shape of the bat kind of had a similar look to the Batman logo. But what we're doing with, the big thing with this team is reaching out to children, like the youth thing. So a lot of it is cartoony. That's why, they look more cartoony.
Yeah.
And And this, the newest one, even more so than before, is, kind of cartoony. So, you take that shape, but you're putting in all these elements that soften it up and make it more kid friendly. And it really had really no ties to Batman at all, other than my inspiration for the shape of the bat itself. And obviously the lettering, like I said, that was more of a swamp thing, creatures from the Black Lagoon, like that kind of feel. So it had nothing to do with Batman, but just, as a designer, I think is if you're a musician, you always have some kind of inspiration. There's somebody that has inspired you, or something you heard, or something you've seen. So, and that's what tends to happen with me when I'm working on stuff is, there's some kind of something I've seen at some point that I visualize a direction going, unless somebody tells me something different. That's, usually the way I go.
I'm glad you said creatures from the Black Lagoon, because the lettering really did evoke sort of like almost like a 50s movie poster feeling to me. And,
Yes.
and, I see bats and I think vampires. And so, there's, you said mud, and there's also the potential for, maybe blood. Like it definitely has a swamp bats as a name, and then like that sort of drippy typeface all have like a very sort of 50s movie poster feeling about them. So that's
so
fun.
like I said, I grew up playing baseball at that field, and
Yeah.
the pond is pretty close to the field, behind the field, so behind the backstop. So even growing up as a little kid, going out watching games, whenever a foul ball would go over the backstop, 9 times out of 10 it ended up in the swamp, in the pond. And dry years, there was really no water in it, get all muddy. So all of us kids would run to try to catch, to go get the ball. And half the time we'd have to go into the mud and the ball, so it's a, thing growing up there and having those experiences that, that definitely inspired that whole, design process.
That's a serious connection right there. I really love that as a design inspiration. Like that is it's heartwarming actually. That's a fun story. I really enjoy that. That seems like a really great point to end on. I mean, what a heartwarming sort of fun story about you as a kid chasing down foul balls, and now you're creating logos for the team that plays on the same field. That's really fun. Joe, where can people find Bulldog Design online? Where can people find you?
Our website is getbulldog.com. So it's like got milk, like get bulldog.
Get Bulldog.
Yeah.
All right. And so are you on social media? Is anywhere people should follow you?
We're on Facebook. That's pretty much it.
Facebook. All right. Getbulldog.com. Joe, thanks so much. This has been a lot of fun to talk about this brand. And I look forward to chatting with you again about some of the other teams that you've worked with.
Thank you so much, Paul. It was a pleasure.
Baseball by Design listeners worldwide, it is my honor to introduce to you the official Baseball by Design wildlife correspondent, musical enthusiast, and national anthem extraordinaire, Ranger Amy Burnett.
I am so pleased to have back on the podcast, fresh from singing the national anthem at the championship game of the Front Range League Baseball Collegiate Summer Level, Fort Collins Foxes come from behind.
We won.
The Foxes were down 10-4 in the 8th inning and won 12-10. It was amazing.
It was so great.
The listener can't see right now. We're both wearing our Fort Collins Foxes caps. Go Foxes.
Go Foxes.
Front Range League champions. But now we're talking about a different collegiate summer level team.
And not Flying Foxes.
Not Flying Foxes. I don't give a flying fox about.
Whoa.
I know, right?
My goodness, your language, Paul. This
Sorry.
is a rated G podcast.
Apologies to our innocent-eared listeners.
Goodness.
Hey, you are from New Hampshire.
I am. Yep, my home state.
So we're going to talk about your home state here a little bit. This is fun. We're going to talk about, bats and baseball and whatnot. But how many swamps are there in New Hampshire?
Oh my gosh.
Are there a lot of swamps? I don't think of New Hampshire as like a swampy state.
You know what? If you grew up where I grew up, there's a lot of swamp land.
Yeah.
In Seacoast, New Hampshire.
Okay.
And there are a lot of, you know what lives in swamps? Do you know what comes out of swamps?
Alligators.
Not in New Hampshire.
No.
Something you don't want to have a lot
Swamp gas.
of. I should just tell you.
Okay.
Mosquitoes.
Oh, mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes breed in swamps.
All right.
They're just that's the thing about New Hampshire. I love New Hampshire summers, but the mosquitoes in the summer will just carry you off.
We had that experience eating ice cream. You're like, this is the best ice cream ever.
Yes.
And then we went and we were just swarmed by mosquitoes.
Legos,
It was delicious ice cream, but the mosquitoes were like unbelievable.
Yeah, they're horrible.
So what do we do about the gosh darn mosquitoes?
Well, if you hate mosquitoes as much as I do, you might love bats.
Okay.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah. So is New Hampshire, I mean, like, okay, this team is called the Swamp Bats, and we've talked about like this was 28 years ago. I think perhaps 28 years ago, there was not as much attention on selecting team names that were really hyper specific and hyper local. So it's possible that this was just like sort of a fun nickname, but isn't really like that connected to the state of New Hampshire. Are there a lot of bats in New Hampshire?
Sorry for all my friends in New Hampshire listening out there right now, but New Hampshire really doesn't have that many species of bats. Well, first I'll tell you, how many species of bats would you guess that New Hampshire has?
That New Hampshire has?
Just New Hampshire.
Well, they've got swamp bats. That's one.
That's not a real one.
I'm gonna say 8.
Just throwing it. What?
8 species of swamp bats is my guess.
Did you read over my shoulder?
I did not. Is that the real answer?
That's the real answer.
I'm a swamp bat genius.
Wow.
9 if you count swamp bats.
Oh my gosh. It's like Ranger Amy Stumper, and you nailed it without the choices.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
8 species live in New Hampshire, which is kind of cool.
All right. All right. Now, is there one that is like specific to swamps? Like you say that swamp bats are not a real thing, but like is swamps where they live? I associate them with caves.
Well, let's talk about going back to mosquitoes, which everyone loves to hate. They live in standing water. Like they breed in standing water.
Oh, okay.
Which is swamps.
The mosquitoes do.
Yeah, mosquitoes. Okay. And if you're a bat and you want to eat a lot of mosquitoes, where do you hang out?
Standing water.
You might hang out near standing water, so you might hang out near swamp. So it's I get why they might call them swamp bats.
Okay.
You find bats near places where bats like to eat. So you find bats flying near if you like to play tennis, or maybe you go swimming after dark and you look up and see bats flying around bright lights in the summertime.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice that? They're eating the bugs that are attracted
mosquitoes. All right.
by the light. So light attracts bugs like moths that they like to eat, and swamps can attract mosquitoes or breed mosquitoes.
One time, some friends of mine and I, some of the Baseball Palooza guys, we hiked to the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And we slept out under the stars, just on our sleeping bags. We way overpacked. We're a bunch of knuckleheads. And we realized we were like on top of our sleeping bags because it was warm even at night. And we were sort of sweaty. And so like, I think maybe we were warm, and the mosquitoes were attracted to that. And we suddenly realized there were bats like zipping like right in front of our faces. Like as we were like lying there looking at the sky, all of a sudden there's like these bats like zooming past us. Yeah, that was
freaking out.
It didn't freak out, but like worried, like if I sat up too quick. I'm sure this never in a bajillion years would happen, but like it felt like if I sat up too quick, I was gonna get a bat right in the ear.
Yeah, or in your hair, right? And it would tangle in your hair.
Exactly.
That's a big myth. Like a lot of people believe that bats get tangled in your hair.
Yeah.
And the reason is because when you're walking around in the summertime and it's hot out and you're sweaty and the mosquitoes are attracted to your head and they're buzzing all around your head, and that's where the bats are like, I'll take that one, thank you very much, and they're dive bombing, but they're not gonna, they know where your head is.
We were getting dive bombed. Yeah. So the ballpark has a swamp right near it. So do you think like during a swamp bats game you can like see the bats?
Oh, I bet you can.
That's pretty cool.
I would bet $1 bajillion that, or at least
$20
that you could see bats on any given night at a swamp bats game.
All right.
Yeah. Do you know how many mosquitoes a bat can eat in a night?
Oh, it's like thousands, right?
They can eat a ton. But here's the funny thing. people love to say bats can eat 1,000 mosquitoes an hour, but that was done by a person in a lab with one bat, and he did it for 15 minutes. And bats don't eat the same amount in 15 minutes as they do in a whole night.
Right.
Like,
It's like me at the Vegas buffet.
You're probably just going to eat one ice cream cone. So
You said ice cream cone? Like there isn't some sort of delivery mechanism that I am well known for eating ice cream out of?
Wow. Okay. For the listener at home, it is late at night when we're recording this.
And fresh off the Fort Collins Foxes championship.
He's a little tired. So I didn't answer the question. So somewhere between like 650 and 1,400 mosquitoes a night for a bat.
A night, not an hour. Okay.
No, probably not in an hour, realistically.
Okay.
But that's still a freaking lot of mosquitoes.
It's a lot of mosquitoes.
Yeah. So thank him back.
This logo is purple. So what color are bats? Like is a purple logo appropriate for bats?
Well, bats come in lots of different colors, but purple is not one of them.
Okay.
There's one called a red bat, like an eastern red bat in New Hampshire, and that's close on the spectrum, right?
Red, it is close. It's immediately adjacent to purple on the color wheel.
But you could find a silver-haired bat in New Hampshire. You could find a red bat.
It's on the other end of the visible spectrum, though, so it really depends on how you're thinking.
Like purple would not be the choice that I would choose, but purple is kind of close to black, like a nighttime color, so I get it. And also vampires have purple cloaks sometimes.
Yeah.
Incidentally, you are not going to find any vampire bats.
Okay. That's not one of the 8.
Not one of the 8, so sorry to disappoint you. And they generally live in Mexico, Central, South America, are never found anywhere near the sea in New Hampshire.
Yeah. Or Transylvania.
Or Transylvania.
What is there one particular species of bat that is most common in New Hampshire?
Either the little brown bat or the big brown bat. Those are two species that are pretty likely to be seen.
So brown bats of various sizes. Is there something about those brown bats? You know, this is the question. This is the big question we ask on every one of our Ranger Amy segments. Is there something about
I'm nodding
those brown bats for the listener at home? Ranger Amy is doing this. Is there something about the brown bats that would make them good baseball players?
Well, all of the species of bats that live in New Hampshire are insect-eating bats. So they're all very good at catching insects, and they don't go down on the ground and like pick them off the ground, right? They catch them on the wing. Okay. So they would make really great baseball players, specifically any kind of fielder or a catcher.
Okay.
So they have amazing abilities to catch with their wings. Have you ever seen a bat's wing?
You sure? They have like little hands.
Yeah. A bat's wing looks like a bunch of fingers with webbing in the middle. So it looks a lot like a catcher's mitt or any kind of a glove that you wear as a baseball player. How cool.
It looks like a first baseman's mitt. It's like a big, long, extended glove.
It really is. It's so different. A bird's wing is solid. They can't move it like that.
Yeah.
But a bat's wing is like a hand. Actually, chiroptera means hand wing. And so they can move their hands and grab things on the wing. Sometimes they just open their mouth and eat the bugs on the wing. But sometimes they'll grab it. They'll like catch it in their glove-like wing and they'll pop it in their mouth. How fun is that? They just like catch it in their wing and throw it in their mouth like popcorn.
See, I knew this was going to be a fun episode with your native New Hampshire, you and your sound effects when it comes to all the animals and your vast knowledge of all the wildlife. That's how come you are the Baseball by Design wildlife correspondent.
Well, also because...
Oh, here we go. Here's a picture of Ranger Amy holding a bat.
In Arizona.
And not a baseball bat.
Not a baseball bat, but a really cute pallid bat. And that's the kind that eats scorpions, not a kind that lives in New Hampshire.
Not a lot of scorpions in New Hampshire. And not a lot of, what is it? Pallid bat?
Not a lot of pallid bats. Pallid. P-A-L-L-I-D.
Like super pale.
Yeah, because that's what color they are. Not purple.
Okay.
Look at this guy. He's a California leaf-nose bat that I was holding.
That looks like a bunny. That is an upside-down bunny.
It totally looks like a bunny. But this is a right side up.
All right, now we're just looking at pictures, and that's not great podcast audio. So we're going to go.
We're going to go.
Ranger Amy, where can people find you?
They can find me on all socials.
Okay. The Real Ranger Amy on Instagram and Ranger Amy everywhere else. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You can find me, especially if you have any bat questions.
Throw them all your wildlife questions. Throw them at Ranger Amy on all the socials. Yeah. Ranger Amy, thanks so much.
Bye. You're welcome.
All right, everyone, welcome back. It is time once again for Studio Simon Stumpers. Dan Simon, designer extraordinaire of Studio Simon, the Louisville-based design firm responsible for so many great minor league baseball logos out there. Dan, hello, how you been?
I have been and still am fantastic. Thank you. As I mentioned at the start of this episode, we've got the Louisville Bats here in my city. Before they were the Louisville Bats, they were the Louisville River Bats. Now, you said earlier you're not sure if a swamp bat is a real thing. There is no such thing as a river bat, but we've got a river.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the Louisville Slugger Bat Factory and Museum here in Louisville. So the Keene Swamp Bats have some company in the sports teams with swamp in their name.
Oh.
So our Studio Simon Stumper today asks, which of these is currently the name of a professional sports team? Is it A, Swamp Rats, B, Swamp Vipers, or C, Swamp Rabbits?
I used to have when I was in college, Dan, and that was before this sort of current era of wacky minor league baseball logos. I used to have a theory that the naming mechanism for minor league baseball teams was city where you lived, geographic feature nearby, random animal. And that's how you came up with things like the Sacramento River Cats or the Keene Swamp Bats or even the Louisville River Bats. So this is playing right into that. Swamp Rats, Swamp Vipers, Swamp Rabbits. Swamp Rabbits sounds awesome. I would love a swamp. If Swamp Rabbits is the answer, I would love a t-shirt that said Swamp Rabbits. Maybe we can get them on as a sponsor of the team if they're real, Dan. Swamp and Vipers just don't feel like they go well together. Swamp Rats feels like the most likely to me, but also the least interesting. Again, this is another one. We've been on a little streak here, Dan, where I have just found myself guessing without any real way of, since I don't know the actual team. And then I know this is going to be one of those answers where I say, like, I get it wrong. And then you're like, I'm surprised you didn't know it. I'm going to say Swamp Rats.
That's
the answer. Swamp Rats.
Okay. I wanted to help you along here, and you were talking about how you love the idea of swamp rabbits. And
I know. Swamp Rabbit sounds great.
I was going to tell you to wish that into existence, and that's what you should have done.
I should have. I want to know what a swamp rabbit is.
Well, the former Greenville Road Warriors of the ECHL, that's the East Coast Hockey League.
It's kind of the East Coast Hockey League, Dan. It doesn't stand for that anymore. They got rid of that, and it just now stands for Etchel because they have teams like as far as Alaska.
Yes, it's all across the United States.
Yeah.
Now, the Greenville Road Warriors identity was developed by not friend of the show, Joe Bosack.
Yeah, frenemy of the show.
But they rebranded as the Greenville Swamp Rabbits in 2015, an identity developed by friends of the show, Brandiose.
Oh, okay.
So you can get yourself a t-shirt that says Swamp Rabbits and has a swamp rabbit on it.
I should have known this one, Dan. This is another one where now that you say the answer out loud, I know that I've heard of the Swamp Rabbits, and it's not even that long ago, right? Like 10
years ago.
Yeah.
I thought you would know this one since it's a Brandiose identity. You know, they, like me, almost all of their work is in minor league baseball, but like me, they've had forays into other sports, and I don't know that they've done any other hockey teams, so that might be the only one. But yeah, they did the Swamp Rabbits.
Swamp Rabbits. That's a fun one. I should have known it. I'm mad at myself for getting it wrong, but you just got to listen. It's like being a relief pitcher, Dan. You just got to have a short memory and go out there and get the next guy. So,
yeah, but if this skid continues much longer, I think you might be designated for assignment.
Oh no, we're just gonna have to bring in Ranger Amy to start answering the stumpers. All right, well, Dan, that's I consider me put on notice. I will try to do better next week.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that. I want you to do better. So hopefully there's a correct answer to come a week from now.
Maybe you'll groove one for me.
Okay, I will see you then.
Name someone who played third base for the Phillies.